Gen 3 legendary Pokemon are absolutely absurd, as Groudon and Kyogre, the dynamic weather duo, has been a pretty big staple in restricted formats. However, Groudon hasn't had the best placements compared to its other companion Kyogre. It still had some pretty solid stats all across, and this time we're going to be trying out a Groudon team that was able to place top 16 at the Indianapolis Regional Championship and seeing how well it can perform. This is a recreation of a Groudon team that was able to get top 16 at the Indianapolis Regional Championship. Groudon just wants to set up the sun to help out his partners, and with that photosynthesis on the Paradox Pokemon, it is a great partner to it. With the Choice Specs Flutter Mane and the Assault Vest Raging Bolt, the Flutter Mane able to do a lot of damage with that Choice Specs and Terra Fairy options, alongside this variant actually running a max speed variant, so you actually are extremely fast and don't have to worry about speed ties unless your opponent's also running max speed, which is pretty rare. You can go for really strong fairy type moves, and you have Icy Wind for speed coverage as well for really strong follow-ups with either Ogerpon, your own Groudon, or Raging Bolt potentially. Speaking of Raging Bolt, we run an Assault Vest Raging Bolt with the Terra Water that helps out against Calix Ice Rider a bit more, which is nice, and can go for some really strong electric type moves that can help out against, for instance, a combination of like Torn Ogres or Torn Urshifus, especially if that Torn has Rain Dance, which Groudon does not appreciate. You can fire out some really strong electric type moves, Volt Switch to pivot around to get in your Flutter Mane, your Ogerpon, or even one of your defensive options like a Moongus Incineroar, and of course the Sun user in Groudon. Having that pivot option on a weather team is extremely nice. The Groudon itself able to have that clear amulet to prevent the Intimidates from Incineroar affecting it like in previous formats. You have Precipice Blades, a really strong spread ground type move with a bit of shaky accuracy, the Heat Crash that's able to do a lot of damage that's weight dependent, so it can do a lot, for instance, against a Moongus and a lot of other standard Pokemon, but against some of the opposing restricteds, for instance, like the Calix Ice Rider, and against opposing Raging Bolt if they Terra, doesn't really do too much, unfortunately, so that's one of the downsides there. The Helping Hand support that can go with the Flutter Mane to dish out a lot of damage, especially with that max speed. You pretty much outspeed most of the format, potentially even under Tailwind, and with that Helping Hand can really rack up the damage. The Helping Hand on Raging Bolt for the Thunderclap can also be a really nice option as well. Next, we have the pretty staple core of Incineroar and Amoonguss, which is just always a great pairing no matter what's restricted you're really running. You have that Fake Out support, you have the Intimidate, you have Parting Shots that can pivot around, especially again valuable for a weather team. The Amoonguss, of course, offering the redirection as well as the Spore, Pollen Puff to heal, which is nice because having more HP means you're able to stick around on the field longer, which again, important for Weather Wars, but also important for keeping Pokemon around. And only difference really is that the Incineroar is running Flare Blitz on this team that can be taken advantage because you do have the Sun Boost. With the Groudon, you're able to do quite a bit. The Heartflame Ogerpon is an interesting addition we don't see too much on the Groudon teams, but this one's running a little bit of a unique set, not running the Follow Me or even the Swords Dance from prior, running Encore that can lock in some surprising moves. For instance, Tornadus that wants to go for Tailwind, Protects that are slower than Ogerpon that they used previously. You can catch a lot of opponents and force some certain hands, which is pretty strong with really great coverage with that Ivy Cudgel that hits extremely hard in the sun. And especially if you go for the Terra of Ogerpon, it does so much damage, alongside the Wood Hammer for really strong grass coverage. If you'd like to check out the details of the team and the creator, they'll be linked in the description down below. Regigigas, Galarian Weezing, Eternatus, Entei, Sableye, and Brute Bonnet. Alright, so we have the Regigigas Weezing combination, which Groudon is actually not too bad against because it has really high physical defense. This is something I'm trying to figure out here. Flutter Mane's not too bad, but Entei is actually kind of a problem Pokemon. I think Terra-wise, I'd probably go with the Groudon so I can avoid getting burned by Will-O-Wisp or Sacred Fire. That could be coming out. Ogerpon's not too bad, but I don't think it's really necessary. I like Amoonguss actually. Amoonguss is not that bad. Get into the Entei stuff. I think I do like Raging Bolt as a lead. I think Raging Bolt Groudon is not too bad here. Yeah, I do like Groudon plus Raging Bolt. I think it is pretty effective. The Buttermane. If I had Perish Song, it might be helpful because I don't know what the Eternatus is going to be up to. Mungus is not bad. I kind of like the idea of Incineroar though. And a Mungus. This is going to be tricky actually. I like the idea of going a more defensive route, but the problem I have is the Eternatus. Eternatus is a scary Pokemon. Eternatus is definitely a scary Pokemon to deal with because I don't know what its set is. I hope it's not going to be some Toxic Stall with Sableye combination that I can really fear here. Could be offensive, but I think Eternatus' best properties right now are actually more on the defensive side with like stalling. Let's see what we have to deal with here. Going to be the combination of the Weezing plus the Regigigas, which is not too surprising as I lead the Raging Bolt. Utilizing Gas. Which means no Sun activation, no Photosynthesis. A-okay by me. I think I'm going to just try to go for an Electroweb turn 1 and a Precipice Blades. And Terra Fire. Because I pretty much knew I was going to Terra the Groudon. There's not really a super big defensive thing that Groudon does here for its ground typing. Its fire typing does have a bit of weakness, I guess, with the Regigigas carrying a ground type move, but otherwise not really. I also just avoid getting Will-O-Wisp potentialed by the Weezing, which is pretty important. They go for a Wide Guard immediately. I felt like they could click Wide Guard, but I didn't think they would actually click it turn 1. So I could have went for Volt Switch instead, so unfortunate there. Precipice Blades. What did the Weezing click? I was really hoping to catch them off guard with just Electro turn 1. Especially like I was thinking Weezing might protect here. Alright, so the Weezing's slower, which makes sense. It's probably more invested into bulk after all. Will-O-Wisp? Yeah, they did attempt to Will-O-Wisp. Okay. I think I'm just going to go for a Volt Switch then into the Regigigas, and I'm just going to go for Protect and Scout for like what they're going to do. I'm assuming Weezing's just going to Protect to stall out a turn here. Maybe it goes for like some kind of move like a Taunt into Groudon if they think I'm bulk up Groudon. Or they go for a Strange Steam into my Raging Bolt slot, which is fine. It's just not... It's not great if the Regigigas decides to target down my Raging Bolt. But I should be able to live one hit. I don't think they're going to Wide Out. I'm pretty sure they're just going to... yeah, Protect and attack. Yep. I could have went for Electro, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Ah, they did target my Bolt. Okay. It takes some damage. I'm able to get a Volt Switch off into the Regigigas. I don't think this is too bad. Gonna go into a Mungus. Unfortunately, the Raging Bolt has been chipped, but we can, of course, heal it back later in the game with Pollen Puff. I'm gonna go for Pollen Puff into the Groudon. Actually, I kind of want to protect a Mungus. I want to protect a Mungus and Heat Crash the Weezing, because I could see this being like a Wide Guard plus Taunt. So let's see. Let's see if I'm right. I could be wrong. Yep, they do Wide Guard, so I'm assuming this is Taunt, which is perfect. Okay, awesome. So a bit of intuition. We're getting better on this turn. Here comes a Heat Crash into the Weezing. How much damage does this do? Not bad, 50%-ish. Not Citrus Berry actually on the Weezing, which is actually pretty good to know. They did go for the Taunt into Mungus. Great, now I can go for a Spore into the Regigigas slot, and I can just go for a Heat Crash into the Weezing. I might just Precipice Blades because I don't think they're going to Wide Guard here. Because they just saw I'm going to Heat Crash and two-shot the Weezing. So you know what? I'm going to Precipice Blades. Because then next turn, like assuming that Weezing just protects and the Regigigas goes for an attack, I can get a turn to either get Regenerate Health or Pollen Puff, which would be pretty huge. So I'll play a bit on the greedy side. I think I can afford to. Nice. They actually didn't protect. So I am going to be able to knock out the Weezing. Precipice Blades, Shucka Berry. No way it lives to Precipice Blades at that low health, though. Yeah. The Regigigas actually lives barely, but that's actually really useful because I went for Spore instead of Pollen Puff. If I was knocking out the Regigigas, then it was better to Pollen Puff always, but now the Gigas is slowed down. We can go for a Spore. I didn't think they would play super aggressive there with the squeezing, but it works out. Now the thing is, I do have to find a position where I can actually heal back my Pokemon, as we do get a Spore off into the Regigigas. So I can always get a Precipice Blades potential KO. Let's see if they bring out Eternatus, which is going to be the offensive threat. Or Bonnet, actually. Interesting. I think Incineroar is always my play. I want to go Incineroar and Spore to Brute Bonnet really bad. Actually, do I want to Spore? No, I want to Pollen Puff because they got to keep the grass typing. Yeah. The reason I'm going to make this play is because A, I don't know if this is Pro-Synthesis or Pro-Synthesis boosted Sucker Punch coming out into my Groudon, which could pick up the KO. This could be Spore. I think like just getting Incineroar in so I can go for like a Parting Shot plus a Pollen Puff is actually like a pretty big deal. So I'll just go out and Incineroar. If they Terra, then it's probably something we can just Spore the next turn. They actually go for Protect. All right. Which is fine. That means they can't protect the following turn. So I think this is just a turn where I want to Pollen Puff myself and go for a Parting Shot. I would love to heal back my Groudon. So I will Parting Shot the Brute Bonnet. I wonder if they're going to go for the Terra, but the thing is, if they go for the Terra, it's pretty bad for them. This actually ends up being in a really good spot because this is Eternatus coming out. Looks like, yep. So I'm able to get a Parting Shot, which means I get them to -1 special attack, and then Groudon's actually in a good spot. Nice. The Parting Shot going to come out. And if Regigigas actually wakes up and gets an attack off, I'm pretty sure it outspeeds a Moongus, but it's just, I don't think it's going to pick up the knock on a Groudon here. And then I get that Pollen Puff off. So here comes Groudon. They do stay asleep. That means I have to worry about Wide Guard in a couple turns. We will get a Pollen Puff off into the Groudon. All right, perfect. I think I'm just going to go for a Spore into Eternatus, and I'm just going to go for a Precipice Blades. Yeah, I don't really see a drawback here. We could force a potential Terra. We could pick up the knock on Eternatus. They could protect, and then we just like, I guess Gigas could go down, but then I just get an Incineroar, and Eternatus is locked into a -1 from that Parting Shot from earlier. That's why I'm not too scared here of playing a bit aggressive. Because the Eternatus shouldn't be able to pick up a knockout onto either one of my Pokemon, I would imagine. Unless they have a specific Terra in mind. Yeah, I'm feeling okay here. But let's find out if they have a trick. Nope, they just go for Protect. All right. I'm guessing Regigigas is aiming to go down here. Yeah, so they're just trying to get a free switch to Bonnet. But as I mentioned before... Well, I missed the Gigas, it looked like. Okay. They stay asleep, though. That's actually kind of awkward for them. All right. I went for the Spore attempt into the Eternatus. I could see Eternatus switching out now. I don't know if they are, though. I think I just Pollen Puff always into the Groudon to get recovery. And I think I Heat Crash the Eternatus. Because I think they're probably going to Wide Guard. If they Wide Guard, it's fine. They could try to go Bonnet here and get some damage. So they get a free switch to both Bonnet and the Eternatus. They actually go for a Terra. I'm interested on whose Terra this is. It probably is the Eternatus. Yep, into what? Terra Water. Okay, if it was Terra Grass, it would have been mind-blowing. But nope, Terra Water. If they have Terra Blast, that's super weird for me. Ooh. Oh, I forgot that he could run the Meteor Beam sets. That is not good, actually. Okay, wait, hold on. They did Terra, though, which means that Raging Bolt has a option. I do actually survive the Meteor Beam because of earlier, which is kind of nice. So I get the free Heat Crash damage. Won't do too much, I think, but yeah, that's... I mean, chip is chip. They do wake up. They go for Drain Punch. But with that Intimidate from earlier, they just do pathetic damage. So I'm able to go for a free Pollen Puff here into the Groudon. They go down themselves, so I can still go for Precipice Blades in the later parts of the game. Yeah, and I get to go for Pollen Puff and heal. So now that they're back at neutral, I'm kind of curious. Sunlight fades, so they can't knock me out with Flame Thrower. They do have Flame Thrower. They do bring out the Bonnet once again. This is pretty simple, I think, of an Incineroar switch plus Spore. Because I get that Intimidate. I get to keep Groudon around. Because the Sun can be useful for the Photosynthesis on the Raging Bolt. So I am liking this spot. I don't see a way they can knock out Amoonguss with a double up here. So I should always be able to get Spore, and then if they protect, I just get to go for Fake Out the next turn plus a Spore. Or I could go for a Parting Shot once again. They go for Sucker Punch into what was the Groudon. All right. Dynamax Cannon double up. All right. Incineroar still took a pretty decent amount. We are going to get a Spore off though into the Eternatus. Now I think I get to go for Flare Blitz plus a Pollen Puff into Incineroar. I could double up the Bonnet, but they could protect, so I go for Flare Blitz. I don't think they have a move that can knock out Incineroar after Flare Blitz recoil from the Bonnet. And if they protect, they just give me a free healing on my team. Yep. And then I can double up the Bonnet the next turn. So regardless, like, I was pretty set here. And now we're just bullying the endgame Eternatus, because all I have to do is set up for Bolt to win. And that's pretty easily, I would say. Because it doesn't seem like they actually have a way to knock out Amoonguss. So I'm glad I brought the Amoonguss Incineroar. It was good for cleanup towards the end part, because like the Parting Shot's allowing me to slow down. No Entei made this a lot easier because they didn't bring like really good tools to deal with Amoonguss other than Taunt. But because I pressured the Wheezing, it ended up being really good. I go for Pollen Puff Flare Blitz again. Knock out the Bonnet. And then just isolate the Eternatus. They go for Sucker Punch. So let's see if the Eternatus can do anything, but it stays asleep, so yeah, we should have the game guaranteed sealed here. I want to... Ooh. Bonnet does survive the Flare Blitz, but still alright, because we do Pollen Puff double up. Should I Pollen Puff my Bolt, or should I just Spore? I feel like I just... Spore... This Pollen Puff is kind of a greedy play, I guess, but it doesn't really hurt me too much. Yeah, I kind of like the Pollen Puff and the Spore. Or the Pollen Puff over Spore. Because if the Eternatus stays asleep, I get actually like more mileage. Yeah, I'll just Parting Shot. They say sleep too, which is perfect. So, yep, get the best possible turn here. And then next turn, I can just Rage Powder plus Volt Switch. Or I could Thunderclap swap. Those are both pretty good options. And go into Groudon by that method. But yeah, we just go into Raging Bolt. With an Assault Raging Bolt next to the Amoonguss against Terrawater Eternatus. I just don't see her out here. We'll heal with our Pollen Puff. And then we go for the Rage Power. So it was an offensive Eternatus build, which... I guess it makes sense because Eternatus doesn't care about its ability. Like, it doesn't use its ability. It just has, like, its speed, decent special attack, but wasn't able to accomplish too much as we just Volt Switch Rage Powder. Dynamax Cannon crit, but even then I have Thunderclap in the back. They could have Recovery, I suppose, like with Recover, but it's alright. Yeah, like, it doesn't do enough damage to Amoonguss. And then back to Incineroar, or I could go into Groudon, but I'll go out into Incineroar instead. Because I threaten to Fake Out, so I can get Regenerate Health if I really need to. I get Timer. There's so many ways I just finish up, so hopefully they forfeit. Gonna go Raging Bolt. Gonna go for a Fake Out. And then I also threaten Thunderclap the next turn, yeah. So just really nice defense for the Groudon. That Terrifier really coming clutch against the Will-O-Wisp. Was able to pressure the Wheezing, get enough damage to it to put on enough pressure where Amoonguss was just so tough for my opponent to deal with afterward. Because Regigigas Wheezing really has to rely on taunting the Amoonguss. But if you're not able to get the taunt into Amoonguss, like as you saw, I was able to build up so much momentum. Eternatus, Tinkaton, King Gambit, Oranguru, Tornadus, or Shifu. Why is there... Okay. Tornadus or Shifu is really annoying because it's probably Water Shifu, and Rain Dance Torn is actually very likely, I would say, on this team. The Double Steel. Why is there an Oranguru is my question. I don't get it. Is this some kind of symbiosis pass strategy that I'm unaware of? Alright. So I do want to lead Raging Bolt. I think Raging Bolt is really good. Raging Bolt Amoonguss does seem pretty good against the Tailwind mode. It also can do a lot of things against the general parts of the team. Amoonguss seems pretty solid, or Incineroar seems pretty solid in the back. Have a Groudon, because I don't really think I need Flutter Mane. Ogerpon doesn't really do too much here. So a lot of this is how well can I position against Rain Dance, Tornadus alongside Urshifu. If I can get the Sun up, it's going to be a lot easier to deal with their team, but if they do catch me slacking, like Bleak Wind positions, plus certain strikes, it's going to be hard to switch into. The Eternatus, I still don't know what it's going to be, but that could be a threat. We're going to see Eternatus plus Torn, actually. All right. Versus Raging Bolt plus Amoonguss. Don't know if they have Taunt. They could double up my Amoonguss. There are a lot of things that could just go wrong this turn. But I don't think they can knock out the Raging Bolt in one shot. So I think I'm just going to go for a Volt Switch into Torn, and I'm just going to go for Protect. Yeah. We're going to see a Terra immediately. I'm curious if this is Fairy Eternatus? No, Torn Terras. Terra Steel, okay. Now both Pokemon are weak to Precipice Blade, so I'll take it. So we protect the Amoonguss. This is a Taunt. This is a Bleak Wind. This is Sludge Wave. Sure. All right. So Sludge Wave makes sense. They did have double Steel after all. I guess triple with the Torn now. I could have just Draco Meteored though. Like the thing is, I could have easily just Draco Meteored. I wonder if the Sludge Wave even puts me into range of the double up though. Volt Switch into Torn. I mean, this is just a safe Groudon. They got rid of their ground immunity. So what are they doing to Groudon? I just go Groudon. I don't know the damage on that Raging Bolt. It might be specs on the Eternatus. I think I just go for Precipice Blades, and I think I just Pollen Puff the Groudon. I actually think that's specs damage on the Eternatus. I'm actually going to Pollen Puff and Precipice Blades. Either way, they're not in a good spot unless they, I guess, get a double up here. But they're going to go for the Rain Dance, which is to be expected. Thankfully, they couldn't Terra Water if they had it. Sludge Wave. I have my suspicion it is specs. Yeah, that damage on Amoonguss pretty much confirms it. They got a crit on Groudon. Okay. Able to go for Precipice Blades into both. Eternatus survives, but I don't even think that's too bad. All right. Actually, is it? It's not ideal. I am able to get Pollen Puff off into the Groudon. Actually, no, it's fine. Because if they want to go Ursh, I could always Rage Powder. Yeah, they do go Ursh, which is fine. I'm just going to go... Because the thing is, if you're specs, you have to switch out. How much do I need Incineroar? They already... I don't need Incineroar anymore. I guess if it's King Game in the back, this could get ugly. But I'm actually just going to go for a Spore into the Eternatus slot. And I'm going to swap out an Incineroar. They stay in, so I'm kind of curious if this just Protect on the Eternatus, which is... Or Protect on Urshifu, which is fine. Since I get to make sure that Rain is going to be set up for the... Or Sun is going to be set for the remainder of the game. They Sludge with their own Urshifu. Okay, so I'm kind of glad I made a more offensive call, but they did break their Sash. Burning Strike's going to come out. Yeah, picks up the knockout Incineroar, but that's fine. I get Raging Bolt next to Groudon in the end game. It seems really tough for them to actually break through the combination of Raging Bolt plus Groudon because Thunderclap threatens to knock out onto both Pokemon. Precipice Blades also is really hard for them to switch into. They won't be able to reset the weather. Yeah, this looks like tough. It looks like a tough spot for them. There's no Terra reason I have to go for right now. I just go for Thunderclap into the Eternatus. I go for Precipice Blades. And yeah, that seems really solid here. This prevents any damage that could be thrown off. They go for Detect Reverse Shifu, so they're sacking their Eternatus. I guess they have to hope on whatever the last Pokemon is to clean up. Goodbye. All right, let's see. Is it Tinkaton? Is it King Gambit? King Gambit, I guess, could make this interesting because they had Sucker Punch. Well, actually, no, they can't even Sucker Punch my Raging Bolt because I just Thunderclap. It is King Gambit, though. Alright, he crushed. The thing is, King Gambit is pretty heavy. I imagine Groudon's still heavier with the Heat Crash, but I actually don't know Terrifier and Sun would KO. I'm just gonna go for Precipice Blaze and Thunderclap. Because if they go for a double detect and fail, I still need to hit the Urshifu regardless. Yeah, I'm just gonna Thunderclap the Urshifu. They go for Aqua Jet, so yeah, like Precipice Blaze is always the right call here. You get a crit on Aqua Jet, sure. Failed a Thunderclap. I could have went for a King Gambit, but never know. Here comes the Precipice Blades. We do land the Precipice Blades, and that should seal up the game. Oh, we actually just one-shot King Gambit because we critted. I was like to say, I think King Gambit can survive one Precipice Blades. It is a really high physical defense, but that critical hit gonna seal it. Sludge Wave stuff. I don't know if that was the most effective. They lost their Terra immediately, and lost their only ground immunity. Terapagos, Amoonguss, Fluttermane, or Shifu, Heartflame, Ogerpon, and the Iron Hands. Okay, this is Japan Nats winning team. So it's the Rock Polish Meteor Beam on the Terapagos. I feel like Sun is kind of an interesting thing because Precipice Blaze does do a lot of damage to their team. I gotta watch out though because powering up their Ogerpon is not ideal. And we are max speed Fluttermane, so we actually do have an advantage somewhat. Yeah, I do actually like it. The Ogerpon is bulky though, so I do have to consider that in mind. I feel like Urshifu without Sun or without Rain Dance is pretty underwhelming. Groudon is just really tough, I think, for them. So I do like Groudon Fluttermane lead. It does put on a lot of pressure. They don't have Intimidate to stop me. So I do like it. In back, I like Incineroar to help check the Ogerpon Heartflame. I want my own Ogerpon. It does do a lot of damage to their side, but I think Amoonguss is probably better because I want Spore potential. Raging Bolt can be a thing, but I don't really need it because it's not like it's super useful. I guess it could like work against a Heartflame, but yeah, I don't think it's that great otherwise. I think this matchup probably is good for us. But let's see if we are able to do anything. I would like to know what lead they decide to go for. Going to be the Heartflame Ogerpon and the Terapagos. So this is not too surprising. I think I could go for an Icy Wind immediately. They would probably want to tear the Terapagos. There's no way I think you let me go for like an Icy Wind Precipice Blades. I could go for Helping Hand Shadow Ball and try to see if that picks up the knock on Ogerpon, but this is a bulky Ogerpon, so I actually have no clue. Icy Wind Heat Crash is not a bad play. I just don't know if I really want to risk turn one because they could go. I don't know if they're turning down my Groudon or they're turning down my Fluttermane. They could also get rid of the Weather, which is not ideal either. I think my best play is just to protect the Groudon and go into Incineroar. Did they Meteor Beam turn one though? This is not okay. Let's find out. I want to Intimidate into that Ogerpon. I want to scout for like what the Terap. The thing is, I think Meteor Beam and the Fluttermane can be like a very likely play here, but they are going to Terra, so that might get rid of the Weather here, which is not ideal. Yeah, the Terra and Terapagos. That probably means they're attacking too, so this might not be good. This might not be good. Okay, they get rid of my son. Protect the Groudon. They won't have strong Ivy Cudgels though, at least. You go for Ivy Cudgel. Oh, they target on my Flutter Mane. Are they doubling up because they think I'm Sash? Or are they going for Terra Starstorm? Okay, Terra Starstorm I'll definitely take. I will definitely gladly take a Terra Starstorm. Okay. Because this is not like too bad offensively. Yeah, perfect. So I don't mind that at all. I can go for a Precipice Blades plus a Fake Out. I could also swap into Moongus. I don't know if they're going to double protect the Scalp or anything, but they also might fear Swords Dance, so I feel like they might play aggressive here. I think I would like to Precipice Blades and Fake Out the Terapagos. I don't know if you really want to let me get a Swords Dance up with the Groudon. Maybe they protect Terapagos and attack with Ogerpon? Yeah, they do attack though, so kind of nice. I am able to get some pretty decent damage. I did go for Woodhammer, but they're intimidated, so yeah, Groudon with its high defenses is able to take it. Nice. Precipice Blades. That's a classic. We missed, which is pretty bad. We get some damage in Ogerpon. Yeah, not great. I do want to swap here. Maybe a double swap is pretty ideal. I kind of like the idea of going a Moongus and going on a Flutter Mane, because then I could press. Because if they make a Meteor Beam play, I'm pretty sure Flutter Mane should have one Meteor Beam. If they go for the Woodhammer into this slot, it works out okay as well. They might also just go for a Starstorm plus Woodhammer, and I think that's fine as well. The problem is I would have really liked that damage on Terapagos because they might have put in range of like a Moonblast or something for my Specs Flutter. So now we're playing on a really big back foot. So we'll bring out a Moongus, we'll bring out Flutter Mane because next turn I want to threaten some heavy damage. Woodhammer does come out, which is nice because they're going to take the Rocky Helmet as well. They are going to survive the turn, but that's all right. They do fire off the Meteor Beam, okay. Is this into Groudon or was this into the Incineroar? It does target on what was the Incineroar slot. Okay. Flutter Mane survives, not too surprising. Do I want Dazzling Gleam damage, or I'd rather just Spore the Terapagos and just Icy Wind. Actually, would I? I definitely want to Spore. I do want to Spore off, and I do actually no, I'd rather just Dazzle. Because there's no point of lowering the speed on the Terapagos, I think. Yeah, I can't really see much. They're gonna retreat the Ogerpon, actually. Alright, I'll take that. Because I get free Dazzling Gleam damage on whatever. Iron Hands? Sure. I'll get some free chip damage on Iron Hands, which I'll take. They protect Terapagos, so they just am worried about the Spore coming out. Alright. I am able to get a Dazzling Gleam off. Not bad damage. Groudon's not in a great spot though. I'm trying to figure out how can I position Groudon in safely so I can actually start going for Blades, but it's not easy because all my Pokemon got weakened. It would be easier if the Terapagos was weakened because I could sack like Incineroar and get like then I could get a free switch. And yeah, it's not easy now. Probably just want to protect a Moongus. And probably just Dazzle. I think I have to unfortunately let Flutter Mane go down here. We protect, they're going to Fake Out plus attack. Yep. Okay. There's Starstorm, gonna knock out the Flutter. The thing is, I also need like 2 hits on the Terapagos too. Alright, Flutter Mane goes down. I kind of have to make an aggressive play the coming turns. I go on Incineroar always. Because Groudon, I don't think lives to Star Storm at +1. Gonna Intimidate off. I'm pretty sure they're always just gonna protect and go into Ogre Pond. So I think I have to Pollen Puff my Incineroar. Did I fake out the Terapagos? Trying to figure out what my best odds are. No matter what, I can't really see much. Because I'm trying to figure out if I can get a position of Spore. I just don't see it. Because I think you should always just go Ogre Pond. If I take the knockout to Ogre Pond to get a free switch back to hands. Yeah, this is not good. They can also play aggressive here if they really want to. But yeah, you switch out the Iron Hands, you go into Ogre Pond. And then afterward, you get a fake out again. I can't really do much. Yep. I do get a knockoff into the Heartflame Ogre Pond, pick up the knockout, and I get a Pollen Puff. Actually, no, because I'll be healthy with Incineroar. That was like the big reason of the Pollen Puff actually coming into play here. All right. Because maybe I'll outspeed, or maybe I'll be able to make a play against Terapagos, I suppose. We're gonna see Flutter come in. What was this Flutter set? It was Moonblast, Icy Wind, Taunt, Trick Room, if I believe. Did they taunt the Incineroar? Or are they taunting my Amoonguss? I think they're gonna taunt my Amoonguss. I guess if that's the case, I want to Spore the Incineroar slot and I want to Parting Shot out the Terapagos. Yeah, no, this covers both. Well, no, it doesn't cover both, actually. It covers if they taunt the Amoonguss. It doesn't cover if they taunt my Incineroar. Oh, that was a huge rookie mistake, actually, that I made. They do taunt my Amoonguss, though. Okay. So that works out. Somewhat. Because I get to have a healthy Groudon now. Star Storm. That's a bit less than I thought to my Pokemon, actually. Parting Shot going to come out into Terapagos. Okay, Groudon's going to be pretty important. You got to hit your attacks, buddy. All right. This upcoming part of the end game is just going to be so tricky. E-Crash should knock out Fluttermane 100% of the time. I'd imagine. I think the Fluttermane was pretty bulky though, but I just don't see it surviving. I think I just always Pollen Puff the Groudon and Precipice Blades. Did they double up the Amoonguss is the question. The thing is, I don't know if they're going to double up the Amoonguss or they're going to double up the Groudon. Because I think I got to call this. If they double up the if they double up the Amoonguss, I always sack Incineroar here. I think I want to go Incineroar, and I think I got a Heavy Slam. Or Heat Crash, the Fluttermane. Because I think I need the health on Amoonguss, which I think is pretty valuable. Let's see. If they go for the Star Storm Moonblast into Groudon, I think I do lose. But if they want to get rid of Amoonguss, because the thing is, I would still be spamming Pollen Puff. They go for Icy Wind, actually. Okay. That makes sense, too. That makes a lot of sense, actually, because you're able to get a... So you're able to get the damage on both Amoonguss and the Groudon. Here comes the Star Storm. Max out Incineroar at that range, actually. If I don't pick up the knockout onto Fluttermane, it's over. Is there any way to win? I think I kind of have to get a read right. I think it's possible. It depends on if Groudon goes down to Starstorm. If Groudon goes to Starstorm here, then Terra Starstorm plus Taunt always wins. But they could also expect me, because I didn't go for the Spore initially, they might think I'm just going to go for Pollen Puff or Rage Powder this time. You know what? I think I got to go for a last-ditch effort. I think I got to go for a Spore and Protect. Because if they go for Icy Wind or Moonblast plus Terra Starstorm, I do lose the game. Man, that Flutter Mane living the Heat Crash is insane. They did go for Icy Wind. Okay. We're in this. Very much in this. For Starstorm. Okay. I got some reads right. Is it going to be enough, though? Spore. I think I need Terapagos sleep turns. Probably 3 to come back. If I... Yeah. Because they're going to take their first turn to sleep here. My play is always to... I think it's always Pollen Puff. The Groudon, and I go for Precipice Blades, and I think I have to Terra here. And the reason I go for this is because if they go for the last-ditch effort of going for a Moonblast into a Moongus. Yeah, because I'm like too low on health in order for anything to really change here with Groudon. So if I Terra or not, like I'm going down to the Starstorm, especially if they knock out a Moongus, like I always go down to Starstorm. So my hope here is just to get the Precipice Blades off. KO Flutter Mane, KO Terapagos, protect on the Iron Hands fake outs, and then I have to hope that Terapagos stays asleep. Like, those are the only odds that I have remaining. I think I played this well enough for an endgame position, but we still need some luck here. Did you go for Icy Wind? Makes sense. It doesn't matter whether Groudon teared or not. Actually, it does, because I guess fake out would knock out the Groudon. And not miss a single Blades, Groudon. We really need you to clutch up. Okay, that's 1. If you had clutched up earlier, I think we had won the game. I don't know. That was actually kind of close. I don't know if the other Blades would have done it. I don't even know if Blades is going to pick up the knockout this time around. I mean, it's like my only hope, though. If they wake up this turn, it's guaranteed over. And if they wake up the next turn, it's guaranteed over. So I just... We're walking on a tightrope, and hopefully, literally just coin flips. Fake out, yep. I mean, I guess it didn't matter if I protected that turn. All right. Moment of truth. Moment of truth. Sunlight phase doesn't change anything. I also have to hit both. Pretty sure Terapagos, unless Heat Crash is a better move here, but I don't think it's enough onto Terapagos. I think I got a Blades. They woke up. Why protect? I guess you could go for Iron Hands dodging and always gain the... I mean, it doesn't change anything though, unless they're out of Starstorms. I don't think they've clicked that many Starstorms in this game. How many have they clicked? There was 1 on the knockout on Flutter Mane. There were like 2 on Incineroar. Yeah, there's no way you're out of Starstorms. I mean, I protect on this Starstorm. Maybe if I could PP stall the Starstorms. I guess that's my out here. I guess I'm going to try. I have no idea how many Starstorms they have remaining. I guess I should just go for the protect anyway. There's no way, man. There's no way they used 8 by now. Maybe that was 7. I'm going for it. All right. It would have been insane if they clicked Meteor Beam there as I failed. I don't know if the Blades would have KO'd the Terapagos though. That's my only question because it looks so close wise. I think the thing is I kind of underestimated a little bit about this matchup because the Ogerpon was able to survive like a bit more just because of how bulky it was. If it was frailer, like it'd be easier to handle. I also was like, it was just tough navigating through the Ogerpon plus the fake out because it was like Amoonguss couldn't do what I needed to do in Spore, but it was like really important because I did manage to maneuver a lot more because I had Amoonguss. It would have been tough otherwise. I think I just needed either that Blaze to hit earlier, which was like really important, or maybe if I Moonblasted with Flutter Mane instead. But yeah, if I Moonblasted earlier, maybe that would have helped. But I think I made plays to get back in the game. It was just really rough. All right, let's go over the games. In game 1, Terra Fire on Groudon was nice to prevent it from getting burned by the Galarian Weezing and do massive damage with Heat Crash even without the sun. Once Amoonguss was able to come in, it caused major problems for my opponent as I was able to pivot around, put them to sleep, and heal back my entire team with Pollen Puff, just the standard Amoonguss things. In game 2, was not expecting the turn 1, but that Terra was costly for my opponent as they had no Precipice Blade Switch and I was able to crush that entire team as they did land. In game 3, I underestimated the matchup a bit since Heartflame Ogerpon was tough next to the faster Terapagos, meant that Groudon was harder to utilize. The big game changer was the Flutter Mane being able to live the sun boosted Heat Crash, which meant that I could have went for Precipice Blades and gotten more damage to make up for the miss earlier onto the Terapagos. I got it down to a winnable position, but needed the 3-turn sleep and landing blades to knock out the Terapagos in the end, but I did not get any of those. So how strong is Groudon? Now, for those of you who have known me for a couple of years now, when I talked about Groudon Kyogre, I am not a huge fan of your main move being very, very reliant on missing, as Groudon, especially a restricted Pokemon, as that is one of your most powerful moves. So definitely still, I think, a lot weaker than it was in previous restricted formats, especially, but the ground coverage, of course, always just going to be fantastic no matter what. And that Terra does give it more options with the really strong, being able to utilize its weather and then really strong same type attack bonus hits like Primal Groudon. It's not a Primal Groudon by any means, but it is still able to do quite a bit of damage. If you'd like to check out the details of the team and the creator, they'll be linked in the description down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always.